So to my left, we've got this amazing plant. This is Ashwagandha, Withania somniferus, its Latin name. This is an erect perennial, so it grows year after year. It doesn't die back. It's super easy to identify. You can tell that it's ashwagandha thanks to this very characteristic leaf. It's an oblong leaf. However, if you turn it upside down, it's got these white little hairs on the underside, which go all the way down the stem as well. So that's quite an easy way to identify this plant. As it ages, it produces these gorgeous little yellow flowers, which eventually turn into these little red berries, which are encased in a bladder-like papery structure, sort of like a lantern. And yeah, that's an easy way to identify this plant. It grows wild. It's absolutely rampant. The local people call it ubuvimbo, and it's been used for hundreds upon hundreds of years for all sorts of maladies, which we'll cover in the next section. So ashwagandha is used for all sorts of different ailments. The leaves in particular are used for abscesses and open wounds to help with infections. They're not edible, so you can't eat them, but of particular interest are the roots of this plant. So thus far, scientists have isolated about 80 different pharmaceutical grade compounds. In particular are these things called withanolides, which are steroids with an ergostained skeleton. Of those withanolides, two stand out, which is withaferin and withasamine. There's multiple iterations of these compounds, but these have been shown to have hypnotic and sedative effects, as well as really potent adaptogenic effects as well. So they help our bodies regulate immunity, stress, neurotropic function. It's just a phenomenal all-round medicine to be taking on a regular basis. It's one of my favorites, and it's highly, highly medicinal, and it's also local, which is great as well. So yeah, go out and check if you can find this plant. Our ashwagandha root. Now this one is quite young, as you can see, but this is highly medicinal. This would be about 100 grams worth of root. As you can see, this is ashwagandha. It's a bit of a young one, so this root isn't very large. However, you can see it's a beautiful specimen. So it starts about here, and you can see these rhizomes off to the side are very medicinal, but what we're looking for in particular is this long taproot. Broke off a slight amount over here. We probably had about this much left underground, but that's not an issue. So this plant can grow absolutely massive. This is quite a young specimen, I would say a couple months at max. These guys are perennial, so they'll grow year after year and just keep growing. Shrub isn't really the best word for them. They actually become trees. So I'll show you guys how big these things can become. So you can see why they call it Indian ginseng, because it looks very similar to Panax, as well as mandrake. It looks like a little human being. So that concept is actually called the doctrine of signature. If it looks like, it's probably good for. So you can see why they thought this was good for human beings, and they were pretty spot on. I mean, it looks like a little human being, so it must be good for humans. And thank goodness they found that out, because this root is absolutely amazing. It's one of the best ones that we can get our hands on. So the ashwagandha that we just saw was about yay big, but can you imagine if they just get bigger, how much medicine we have? So take a look at this guy for a second. All the way up to the top, this entire bush, and there's several of them all the way down here. There's just so much medicine available for everyone, because just like trees, the branches that go out equate to the roots that go down. So this thing has absolutely gigantic roots. It's a phenomenal plant, and I would encourage you all to try it. So now that I've given this ashwagandha a wash off, you can see that the color is much nicer. It's got a nice cream color to it, and you can actually see the separation of the internal roots as well as the root bark. So if I break off here, you can actually see the root bark
So that's the root bark. Both are used medicinally. We just like to separate them just to get a better extraction. It just helps to let the ethanol in the water pass straight through. So the smell is absolutely divine. You either love it or hate it. I love it. The name ashwagandha actually means smell of the horse. So it's got a very pungent smell to it. Yeah, it's something everyone should give a smell to at least once in their life. It's quite unique. I absolutely love smelling this.